Ladies and gentlemen, we want you to stand and we want you to make some noise.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go racing here at Knoxville.
Only the best go 3 abreast.
It is show time at Williams Grove Speedway.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here at Eldora Speedway, it's showtime!
You got them for a breath. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the world of outlaws.
It's time to sit back, relax, and enjoy, because, ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime!
Set to do battle for 30 laps. The green flag is waving.
I have waited for this show for quite some time now. I'm all fired up about it. Hey, everyone, it is Wing Nation, the podcast. Erin, Evernham, and Steve Post here. And, Erin, we're going to talk to the crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
Now, our last conversation with the crowd pleaser, we slumped our shoulders and sadly slithered out of the studio because he was retiring and back injury.
Oh, he was sad.
And we were just like, because we love Craig Delant. I mean, he's the crowd pleaser, and we're part of the crowd. Okay, so we had that interview, and we're like, oh my gosh,
that was a tough one.
That was and we got done, and we got to the commercial break at the end of the show, and we just kind of looked at each other like, ugh. I understand this, and we love telling the stories, and that's part of the story.
Yeah, we just felt bad for him.
Yeah. Well, then all of a sudden, here we go. Saturday night in Knoxville, he's back racing again.
Unretiring,
jumping in frozen ponds. We'll talk about that as well, too. So we're going to talk to the crowd pleaser. Can't wait to talk to Craig and see what's going on in his and what has this resurgence been. So we're going to do that here in just a moment. Before we do that, though, we want to step back to Placerville. Okay, on Saturday night, it was Speed Shift TV. Gary Thomas with the call. Tony Golda, Sean Becker, who joined us on Tuesday.
Yep.
Oh, you've got to hear this cat, including his complicated marriage. Okay, so this was the call. This was the way it sounded on Speed Shift TV. It's our Dryden Diesel all death-defying move of the week.
And now for the Dryden Death-Defying Move of the Week, where one driver simply amazes us with their on-track moves.
Becker is closing off turn 4. Sean Becker takes the lead. Into turn 1, Crowl to the inside. It's going to spin sideways.
That death-defying move was brought to you by Dryden Diesel All Death, the official death of the world of outlaws and wheelmen everywhere. Visit Dryden.com for more information. Instilled with Dryden's heritage of performance, Dryden Diesel All Death is built for the demands of today's diesel engines. Dryden Diesel All Death is perfect for owners and operators of on-road and off-road diesel trucks and cars that now require diesel exhaust fluid. Dryden, official motor oil and official diesel exhaust fluid of the world of outlaws and wheelmen everywhere. And as always, American-owned and operated. Visit Dryden.com for more information.
Are you a serious diecast collector? Do you have a favorite driver? Are you looking for a gift for a race fan? No matter what the question, the answer is always PlanBSales.com. Plan B has all the latest in diecast from Lionel and apparel, artwork, and other items for your favorite driver in NASCAR or other forms of racing. Go to PlanBSales.com. Key your driver's name in the search window and look at all the options. Your one stop for diecast and other motorsports collectibles is PlanBSales.com.
Sage Fruit is a high-quality grower, packer, and shipper of Washington State apples, pears, and cherries. Sage Fruit believes in sprint car racing as a proud sponsor of sprint cars for the past 16 years and a partner of Wing Nation for the past 4 years. We love sprint car racing, and we're there for our sprint car fans. Sage Fruit works hard to deliver an exceptional eating experience. We value our relationship with sprint car fans and appreciate your continued support of Sage Fruit. Ask for Sage Fruit at your local grocer.
This is the Wing Nation Podcast. Back to Steve Post and Erin Evernham.
We are so glad that you joined us here on Wing Nation, our podcast, as we talk, try to go a little more in depth and talk to one of our favorites. And we have got one this time. We mentioned this during the first segment of the show before the commercial break, that the last time we talked to Craig, we had talked about retirement. And now he's back racing again, and he joins us on the hotline. Welcome back to the show, the crowd pleaser, Craig Dollansky. Hello, Craig. Welcome back.
Hey, I appreciate it. How you doing, Steve and Erin?
Well, we are doing well. How are you doing?
Oh, I tell you what, just taking it one day at a time, but definitely making progress here with my recovery after surgery, and things are progressing pretty well.
Craig, what was it like the first time you got back in the sprint car and it fired up?
Kind of crazy, at least I remembered how to start it for starters because it had been 21 months, but I really didn't know what to expect there. And but once I got in the car, I went to Burlington and ran an hour race with this team. And, it was great just to get back in the race car, and I felt pretty comfortable right away.
Craig, I'm going to be, and Erin and I talked about this before the break. Our last conversation with you was talking about your retirement, your back injury, and that you thought you were done. And in complete honesty, because Erin and I, we both just love you to death, okay? And we just walked out of here saying, man, it sucks sometimes to do shows like this. It really does. What has all happened that's got you back racing again?
Well, it's such a long story, but it just goes back to the initial injury that I got in 2016. And, basically in 2003, I broke my L1 vertebrae. It was a burst fracture. And so, my L1 vertebrae was removed and replaced with a cadaver bone. And they put hardware in at that point. And Dr. Trammell told me that I ain't going to have to worry about that surgery area. He just basically said that'll be stronger than ever. But it pretty much will gang up on my disc, my vertebrae up below it, which that was my L4, and that's the one that I ended up breaking in 2016. And I just continued to try to race with it. And at the end of the day, it was broke in half. At the end of 2017, they tried to do a vertebroplasty procedure, which is where they put cement in, and the cement went out the top and out the bottom of the vertebrae and destroyed my disc above and below. So long story short, it was a lengthy process to figure out the surgery that they were going to do, and we finally figured that out. And in July of last year, they performed the surgery and took my L4 and my disc above and below out. And the surgery went very well, so I was very fortunate.
Craig, I can't imagine the emotions you went through going through all that and being out of the race car. How much did you stay involved? Did you watch a lot? Did you go to the track, or was it easier for you to just stay away completely?
It was much more difficult than I thought, Erin. It just racing just becomes a part of your life. It's most of my family and friends are in the racing arena, and just to have it kind of just go away like that, it was very difficult to get my mind around. And I definitely went through some dark, difficult days. And, and again, in part of when I announced that we were going to retire, we had some information that was given to us about my bone density that was just, it was a false read. When they tested me, CDI tested me initially, they tested my spine where I already had metal in my spine. So it gave them a false read. So Tria, who ended up doing my surgery, had my bone density tested again, tested it properly. And they're like, hey, your bone density is, as good as it gets, or, very good. So that was a positive in my decision to be able to come back racing, as well as just the surgery that just went extremely well. So I just couldn't be happy to be back. I mean, it's a sport I love with all my heart. It's been a big part of my family and our lives, and just feel very blessed to be able to get back.
So, okay, so you talk about the struggle, you talk about the dark days, and I get it. I don't understand it. I can imagine it. It's so bad. So you get the bone density, you all of a sudden start to put this little piece of accurate knowledge together with something else. What was that glimmer of hope? What was that like when all of a sudden it came to your mind that, hey, let's pump the brakes on this retirement? What was that like when you got to that decision?
Well, it come with mixed emotions, obviously from, my family, my wife, Julie, who's been a great supporter of mine, and helped me get through, some adversity and during injuries. And, I spent 10 days in the hospital in Indy in 2003. I spent 3 or 4 days in the hospital in 2008 when I broke my right arm with that compound fracture. And so, eventually it's just, when you go through things like that, it's trauma on not only yourself, but people around you. So, but when that glimmer of hope come back, there's no question I would have come back, or I wouldn't even retire if I knew that I could just have a successful surgery. I knew I didn't have an issue with my bone density, and my L5 vertebrae is strong and healthy, and it was basically my last one, So they were just, my surgeons were going, hey, you sure you want to do this anymore? And I said, well, absolutely. I'm as stronger than I've been before. My hardware that's above my L5 vertebrae is all good. And I reluctantly called my surgeon's nurse last week because I wasn't going to tell him I was going back racing. I really didn't know what I was going to hear. So she actually she had some words of encouragement and just said, hey, your bone is healed up well, your hardware is healed up well. The biggest struggle you're going to have is your muscles that have been cut and some of that stuff that you lose a lot of strength in. It just it takes a long time to get that back.
Wow. But you waited right till last week to call you call that nurse. You waited.
Yes, I did.
Funny how that happened.
You didn't want her to read the results Sunday morning or see your smiling face in Victory Lane in Knoxville or something like that. All right, Craig. One of the things, okay, we see all kinds of fun things on social media, and we're going to show this, okay? And then, so last week we're all just minding our own business. And we see a post from Craig Dollansky on Twitter, and let's show that post, okay? So we'll do that right now.
Come here, boy. Come here. Is it cold?
Crowl Therapy, Minnesota style. Got to keep pushing.
You jumping into a frozen lake what in the wide world of sports is that about?
Yeah, well, first of all, if it wasn't beneficial for the process I'm going here right now with, just getting myself back on my feet and getting strong as I can, as quick as I can, and I can only push so hard. It just really helps with pain and swelling and inflammation. And I'm telling you, when you jump into a frozen lake, when you come out of there, it's just it's a refreshing thing for your body in many ways. Wow. And when you see that video, I'd already taken a swim once. Prior to that, my PR guy, Shane Carlson, he does a great job. He's, he just was like, Craig, do a video every once in a while, different things you're doing. So I thought, well, you know what, I'll do a video. So I had already been in the lake swimming, and my dog Rex was with me, and he's out there swimming with me. And I swim back, and I go up to the shore, and I set up the phone, do this little video. And as I'm going back in, I'm like, come on, Rex, come on. And he's like, uh-uh. And I take a dive, and I'm coming back, and I'm like, come here, boy. He loves the water. And finally I go, oh, it's too cold for you. Crack me up. But, water temperature, when you take a shower, a hot water shower, it's about 90 degrees. You turn the water as cold as you can get, it's about 50. And frozen lake water is 20 degrees. And I'm going to tell you something. It's I've been in Crowl Therapy chambers at minus 240. What? And there's no comparison. When you go in frozen water at 20 degrees, it's cold.
Yeah. I can't even. I don't want to imagine.
The Rex story is funny because everyone's comment is, well,
that
the dog was smart
part.
enough. The dog was smart enough not to go in the water, and that's the irony of it is the dog was in the water before that. That is so.
Look, man, you're off your rocker. You get out of here. You go ahead.
that was my favorate part of the video.
When your dog throws you under the bus, though, that's that's tough.
I know it.
Oh gosh,
Craig, good stuff.
Getting back to what it was like to get back in the car, did you feel any pain? And what are some of the things as a driver that you need to get more comfortable with or knock the rust off? What are some of the areas you think about?
Well, you think about just pretty much all of it. I just really didn't know what to expect. But as far as back pain goes, as far as sharp, back pain from like a broken bone type feeling that I felt before surgery, absolutely not. That felt good. Did I feel, the next day, after the first time I was in the car, I couldn't believe how sore I was. And I'm talking every part of my body, my legs, my arms, just everything. But, during a surgery like that, obviously you go through quite a bit of trauma, and I can't imagine what your body goes through. I remember when they rolled me in there, I think it was the first time I was awake when I rolled into a surgery room, and I seen 4 nurses with, totes, getting things ready, and I remember going, and there was 2 or 3 people rolling me in, and I go, hey, is all that for me, for this surgery? And they're like, yeah. I don't put me out quick. So, long story short, I was very sore. after racing Knoxville, or after racing Grant, I was very sore. After racing Knoxville, I wasn't as sore. But just fatigue. It's going to take me probably 2 months to get to where I need to be physical fitness wise and be able to push the cardio harder. I can only push so hard right now and just try to manage the pain and the swelling and things like that. And that's what the nurse talked to me a lot about, is what it's going to take to get the muscle back, and just have that muscle heal up. That's what takes the longest.
That's fascinating, and it makes sense when you hear it, but it just does. Your opportunity this year with the Selvedge Motorsports team, how did that come about?
Yes, I mean, me and Dustin had talked. I went to Knoxville last year. There was a individual getting inducted into the Knoxville Hall of Fame, and so I was asked to come down there. So we went down there, and then me and Dustin had just talked, and he's like, "Hey, get in my car for the Nationals." And I go, "Hey, I can't get in no race car right now." I said, "I'm getting close to having surgery here, and I'm not sure what's going to happen." So we just had a conversation then, and then after surgery and after I started healing up and things were looking promising, I reached out and we talked. And Dustin's a great guy. He's got a great race team, great family, and I was very excited with how things went Saturday. We got some rust to knock off me, but and we got some details to work out with our race car. But I think we're going to get on step pretty quickly.
Well, we're thrilled to see you back in the car.
Oh, my gosh.
Craig, I also want to ask you about your alliance with the Upper Midwest Sprint Car Series. What is that all about?
It's just something that, when I was hurt, I was going to some of the Midwest Sprint Car shows there with the Upper Midwest Sprint Car Series, and I had some friends that were racing that series. So I become a part of that and definitely working together with them to try to keep that series strong and make it, make racing as affordable as possible for the working people and, people who just want to go racing. And I want to be a part of that. I want to get back to the sport as much as I can. I don't believe there's a sport really where you can bring your family and friends and just bring everybody together and just, it's just an awesome environment. And but it's got to stay affordable. So, I'm a big part of that, and that's going to continue on. And we got a great partnership going. So I just I want to be a part of that, and I would love to start like a driving academy down the road here and just help other drivers as much as I can, and just give back in that regard too. There's a lot in my well I'd like to pass on.
It's so exciting to hear all of that. It really, truly is, Craig. I enjoyed the tone of this conversation a lot better than the last one we had. I am telling you, it is so good. We really appreciate the time. We appreciate.
Hey, you guys mean a lot to me too, Steve, and you're an inspiration yourself, man. You go out there and do them videos. I love it. All those things. It's just pretty awesome. Really,
try to have fun.
It's just, it don't get no better, but. No, I appreciate the words of encouragement and support, and it's just I'm in a happy place. Feel very blessed.
That is great. Thanks so much for the time. Continued success on the healing. Continued success on the racetrack with the racing series and everything else. And we can't wait to catch up with you later on this year at one of the racing events. But thanks for joining us, Craig.
I'll be looking forward to that. Thank you, Steve and Erin.
There we go.
Have a good day.
Yeah, Craig. Wow. Whoo, man, I'm telling you, I love a happy ending, and that's about as good as it gets right there. I mean, gosh, I know we just stated it. That last show we did with him was rough.
I forgot how bad it was until you brought it up, and I do remember, I think I had
Just
tears in my eyes.
Stomach.
Yeah,
you had tears, and you had a pit in your stomach, and now crowd pleasers out there rolling around Knoxville. He's got this series that he's working with. He wants to start a driving school, jumping into frozen lakes. The only thing he's got going against him is Rex the dog.
Rex is not going.
That's the only thing that he's got. No, man, I'm so pumped up.
Yeah.
That just make my day to hear that from Craig. Gosh, what
he's been through.
He's been through. I mean, gosh, I remember 4 or 5 years ago, we're sitting on the stage at Knoxville, and the next thing he was talking about his diagnosis of Lyme disease.
Yeah.
And we went through that, and I'm like, and then I go home and I Google Lyme disease. Whoa.
Yeah, that's
and then,
tough
and then
stuff.
the back thing. And yet here he is digging. My God, what an inspiring story.
Yeah. And he just talks about it so matter-of-factly. Well, my hardware here. And
my hardware.
My hardware.
Yeah, these guys are wired different than the rest of us humans. You're one of them, though, so I'm not going to just eat you guys. It's you guys are crazy. I mean, it's like I'm with Rex the dog. I'm just going to sit and watch all y'all do what you do. I mean, that is, thanks to Craig for joining us. My gosh, I'm literally chill bumps here. I'm so, and chill bumps of just so, freaking happy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love that visit. So World of Outlaws, they got a couple or 3 big ones this weekend: Missouri and Lake Ozarks and I-55 and Jacksonville. Hey, Lucas Oil National Tour. Oh my God, let's hope Mother Nature leave those folks alone. Okay, they're going to try to kick it off at Eagle, Nebraska tonight if you're listening on Thursday, and a US 36 Raceway in Missouri. We mentioned earlier the Ollie's Bargain Outlet All-Stars. We mentioned this on Tuesday. They'll be at Attica and Wayne County. You can get your Wing Nation gear there. Pennsylvania, traditional weekend, Williams Grove, Lincoln and Port. How about this Sunday? Sealands Grove, 74th year of racing. Now, they've been running the 360s on Saturday night, but they have the Ray Tilley Classic for the 410s on Sunday. So a big 3 nights of racing in Pennsylvania.
And poor rain needs to be nice to Williams Grove, too.
Yeah, Williams Grove needs a break here. With the Lincoln, Port, and Sealands Grove wouldn't mind a break either. So we want 3 good days of racing up there, and can't wait. I love Sealands Grove. I'm telling you, they're just salt of the earth people running that joint. So neat. And then I like talking and focusing on some openers. Park Jefferson International Speedway in South Dakota. Now, they had one scheduled. It got rained out. 2nd annual South Dakota Sprint Car Nationals, the Nebraska 360 Tour, and the MSTS Sprint Cars, Friday and Saturday night. This thing is $10,000 to win.
Wow. That's a big payday.
Well, that's a good payday. $10,000 to win up at Park Jefferson International Speedway in South Dakota. Hey, want to also welcome Plan B Sales to the docket. A lot of the diecast cars we have on our display. Those of you watching the video, you can see the diecast cars. Those of you listening, just visualize great-looking diecast cars with our Hercules Strongman right in the middle of it. But, yes, PlanBSales.com. I've been involved with these folks for a number of years. They actually sponsor, they love Kyle Larson, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., a couple of their endorsed drivers, and they actually sponsored Kyle Larson when he went and won that winter heat race a couple years ago. And so they have great diecast, some sprint car diecast, NASCAR diecast apparel, everything else. So we just want to formally, we heard their commercial was during the break, but welcome our friends at PlanBSales.com to the Winged Nation family. Of course, this weekend, a big weekend. If you want to follow along with everything, you can check out the broadcast calendar. It's at wingnation.com. Wingnation.com. Our man Kreger, oh my God, what he must put together. I'll be somewhere in the hinterlands. And I'll be like, hey, Kreger, did you hear ESS has a race on Friday night that's on Joe's internet service from Sheboygan, Ohio, or Sheboygan, Wisconsin? And Craig said, yeah, I already got it. It's on our page. So we've got the entire broadcast calendar with links to all of the pay-per-view. No, it's ESPN or ESS Vision or something like that.
Yeah, there is.
That's great. I mean, they're great. I love those people. They're wonderful. But it's like Kreger does a great job with our broadcast calendar. So do us a favor. If he's going to work so hard on it, you go check it out. Yeah. So our HRP Racing upcoming schedule of shows coming up this Saturday on MRN's Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit on MAV TV. We're going young. We're going Gio Scelzi. Yes, Gio Scelzi's going to join us on the show. One more time, thank you to Craig Dollansky for sharing your story with us here this week on Wing Nation's podcast.
This has been the Wing Nation Podcast. Find Wing Nation on wingnation.com, Facebook, YouTube, or your favorite podcast provider. The Wing Nation Podcast is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.